What's up, everybody? Michael Johnson here, and I'm excited to be able to share with you today some cool stuff. We're going to talk offers today. And if you're new or you haven't seen any of our other lives, we are going to be talking a lot about systems, business choreography, and choreography in the business world in general has really developed over the years to be able to express systems in a really cool way. And I've had a very colorful journey from my early days of being a professional ballroom dancer to running a software company to starting and bootstrapping a bunch of different companies, including another software company, and to running my own businesses, investing in businesses, and helping other businesses to grow, start from scratch, and or just excel and fix their systems, fix their Frankensteins, as it were. And so with that really colorful and unique journey comes a lot of crazy insight, a lot of things that I've been able to see along the way that don't work, and a lot of things that do. And the interesting thing, as they used to say, the cream always rises to the top. And that means that the principles and the basics that exist in business tend to rise to the top. They tend to be the things that you see over and over again. They tend to be the things that are working for multiple companies, multiple businesses, and they leave clues. And so the little clues that are out there, you'll be able to see. And as I point out some of the basics and the fundamentals, you should be able to start to look at them and say, oh yeah, I've seen that before. I've heard that before. Or, wow, that's exemplified in this business's process and in this business's way of doing business. And so we're going to be talking a lot about systems. Right? Business choreography is a lot about systems. We have an incredible systems framework. I call it the BCSF, right? The Business Choreography Systems Framework. And that includes multiple frameworks in it. And we've already started talking about some of those. The E7S, the Essential 7 Systems, the Metaphor Systems, right? And they all have lots of cool meanings, and the frameworks are really cool. Anyway, we'll dig into those as we go through. In the last few lives that we've done, we've actually gone through and started to play around with some of the systems in the E7S framework, right? So I'm going to add that to the screen real quick. We've been playing around in here in the little tool that I built to be able to just kind of play and build out some systems. So we kind of went in here and we played with the attraction choreography, or a attraction choreography system. It's not one system, one size fits all. And if you've been in business for any extended period of time, you know for a fact that there is no one size fits all system. There are just systems that work, and they can be adapted to what it is that you do. And then we decided to go in and play with a nurture choreography system. So we built what I like to call a world building nurture system. And that was fun. So we talked about that a little bit. We've also talked about conversion choreography systems. I think we did that yesterday. And we just talked about a basic conversion choreography system, right? A front end offer. And that started to bring up some new questions. And so in the overall whole, in the wider scope of things, the problem is while this idea, the E7S framework, it positions all of these in what feels like a linear process. But the fact of the matter is, well, we didn't start with positioning choreography, right? Because I said, hey, let's skip that and we'll go right to attraction choreography systems. But while these are visualized in a linear fashion, they aren't actually linear. In fact, in many bootstrapped companies, oftentimes you don't start in the same place, depending on what the company is about, who you're serving, what your product and offer is. And so you start in different places. And that's understandable. It's just how it has to be. I know that a lot of people, and we as humans, we want things to be linear. We want things to be like step one, step two, step three, we do this, right? And it should always be the same, except for if you are an expert at anything that you do, then you know that that's just not true. That's not how it goes. That's not how you gain expertise. It's certainly not how you become a master at whatever it is that you do. And so the interesting part of that is that you have to be able to say, okay, what's it going to be for my business? And that means you have to be able to understand the systems. And so while we've been starting to dig into some of the basic type systems, these are systems that you can use over and over again. Not necessarily that it has to be exactly what we created, but it can actually be something that is appropriate for your business, for your expertise and the way you know how to do it. And that's why it's important to understand the system's fundamentals, right? And from my professional ballroom dancing days, we would do that. We would say, okay, well, yes, we have a performance that we've got to put together, maybe a competitive sequence that we've got to put together, but on one end, you've got the sequence or the system, but on the other end, you have to teach those dancers to do their basics properly. That means that they have to know the fundamentals. And that's what I've endeavored to do here with all of these systems, right? With all of the BCSF systems. They are about the fundamentals and the principles. And we're going to take those fundamentals and principles and start building them out in basic systems so that you can see how they apply, right? Because it's one thing, if you guys have been watching Dancing with the Stars, they had to teach those stars, they had to teach them basic fundamentals. And the ones that were more accepting to learn the basic fundamentals, they actually excelled and went farther. The ones that weren't willing to do the fundamentals, they just wanted the routine and get the job done, then they end up not quite ever getting it. And you probably know this from your expertise and what you teach and what you work with people on, that there's the result that everybody wants. Everybody wants that end result. But when you, as an expert or a master of your craft, want to teach them the fundamentals, most people balk at that, right? And so you might be feeling a little bit the same way too. As you see any of these things that I'm doing, you might look at this and go, my gosh, that is systems overload. Yes, I totally understand that. However, we have to go back and look at the basics and the fundamentals and the principles of it so that you can understand systems and then apply them into your situation and in your scenario in the best way possible. And that is the goal, right? And that's the challenge really of understanding the fundamentals of systems. Now, what we're going to do today, we've been going through, we did attraction, we did nurture, we did conversion. We could go to fulfillment choreography. And that's an interesting thing because we're going to have to talk very hypothetically in that perspective, because without having a specific product that we understand the fulfillment of, this particular set of systems becomes much harder to create. Now, what we're going to do is we'll make up some products or offers that we can actually talk about and create a fulfillment system around those so that you can see how it would work and how the process works. Because when it's all said and done and we look at the base fundamental, we still have the Alpha Systems framework, which is the actual beginning of any system, right? You want to start with understanding what that is. And that means that we're going to have a trigger, a process, an outcome, and we're going to look for what the proof is so that we can actually see that our system is working. So what we're going to do is, instead of going to fulfillment today, we're going to actually skip back up into the positioning choreography, and we're going to dig deep into some frameworks inside the positioning choreography. So I'm going to just copy that here, and I'm going to put that in this place. And instead of necessarily building a system here, we're going to actually talk a little bit more deeply about offers. So I'm going to let me pull this off the screen so it's not distracting. And we're going to talk a bit more about what you need. Now, this is a challenging topic, right? Because as I work with businesses, and whether you're small and agile, 1-person team, a 5-person, 10-person team, or whether you're a corporate entity and you have 150 employees, it doesn't matter. One of the things that I see over and over again, and this is a classic problem and challenge for most businesses, is that they get into business and they want to sell a product. Now, if you're in the game of selling e-commerce, is what I would call it. E-commerce is you have a product manufactured, and that manufactured product gets shipped somewhere, stored in a warehouse, and gets then packaged up and sent to the customer, right? This is an e-commerce or a product-oriented type of approach. If you're doing that, cool. You can kind of set aside what I'm going to talk about here, but only kind of, because what we have found through looking back at history and direct marketing principles is that direct marketing wins all the time. In fact, in most settings, even corporate settings, they started to take on direct marketing principles instead of using the old marketing principles. Now, that doesn't mean there's not a place for old marketing principles. When I say old marketing principles, I would say think stuff you'd get taught in the universities today, colleges and universities today. That would be old marketing principles. Most of them haven't caught up. Most of them are still kind of living in the old days of marketing where branding is number one. Well, that's fine if you're going into a corporate setting and they have multi-million-dollar budgets for branding. However, branding has changed a lot. I'm not saying you don't need it. Branding is now one of those things that is valuable, and it's something that you should spend some time on, and it's something that will help your brand, and it will help your product, and it will help your image, and all those things that branding is meant for. It used to be less accessible, which is why the corporate entities were the ones that did it, because they had a large budget. Now it's way more accessible because, well, the world shrunk, right? The internet, la-di-da-di-da, right? So branding is a little bit more accessible now. That doesn't mean that should be the first thing on your list. If you're newer in the game, if you're closer to the beginning where you've just taken some seed capital, or you're taking on, you're bootstrapping the company and you're using your own capital, the money you've saved to be able to build your business. If you're in those early stages, branding is like, pay a little bit attention to it, but you've got some other problems that you've got to solve first, right? If you've been around the block a little, you already have the money going, and you're looking at it and you're saying, I wonder if my branding is hurting me or helping me, then this might be a good time to talk about it, right? Now, I digress. What we're looking at, and the number one thing that I see over and over again that's a problem across the board, is your product not being an offer. What's that mean? Your product not being an offer. Well, an offer is taking what you do and putting it into a package, maybe a package that feels irresistible to the people that you're serving, so that it makes it easier for them to do that one challenging, hard thing. We talked a little bit about that yesterday, which is pull out your wallet. Take your wallet out of your purse, take your wallet out of your pocket, and pull out the credit card, right? That's the hard thing, right? That conversion moment. But when you have a great offer, that often leads to the process. But what happens is, if you get into the game of selling a product, you're in the game of commodities, meaning that it's a race to the bottom to see who can actually sell your thing the cheapest. And so you might have a corner, you might have the market cornered in the beginning, and everybody buys from you until somebody looks at it and goes, ooh, I want to do that. In fact, nowadays, when you make a product, it's only a matter of if the product does well, it's only a matter of months before it gets stolen by another country that doesn't have the regulations that the United States does. Maybe thinking a country maybe over there in Asia or something, right? And they're known for looking at it, knocking off your product, building it for cheaper, using cheaper labor, making it less quality, and selling it to your market for less than you can. And they come in and they overwhelm your product. Now, what we want to talk about is with an offer, we can actually start to make our product be part of something that's greater so that your product is not commoditized, right? And that means that you can add things to your product offering, right? This grouping, so that it's more attractive. Now, a great example of this would be looking back at all of the infomercials. And if you're a late night goer, if you're a stay up after midnight and you have the TV on watching old reruns and whatnot, you'll see infomercials up the wazoo. In fact, turn on the TV over the weekend in the early morning hours and you will find infomercials still, because they work. At least if they're done by really great copywriters, then they work. And they usually use direct marketing principles and copywriting and those type of skills. But one thing that is similar in all of those situations is that they always talk about their thing, but they always sell it as an offer. So they always talk about their product, but then they always sell it in an offer. So they never just sell the product, right? And that is pretty normal if they are going to have any success. And this is very common in the infomercial space, especially in the direct marketing space early on. That's when they used to send letters out. And actually, some companies still do it, right? They send you a letter or a postcard in the mail. In fact, I was talking to my daughter who's building her own business, and I was like, hey, we should maybe consider doing some direct marketing, like postcards, and let's go after a particular neighborhood and do that. She's like, Dad, that's so old school. Like, nobody does that. And then literally within the next 3 days, we got a postcard in the mail with somebody in her industry doing something similar to her. And she was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe somebody's actually sending something in the snail mail. And it was awesome, right? Because it still exists. And again, it depends on your offer. It depends on what you're doing, right? So let's dig in a little bit to an offer for a second. Now, if you're inside my world and inside our systems and our frameworks and stuff, you've probably seen this. If you're new to me and you haven't seen that I love frameworks, I've got frameworks for everything, because it's how I remember to teach certain things. And when I have to recall something I haven't taught in a while, because I build frameworks off of it, when I teach it, I can go back and I can actually remember it. So I highly encourage you in your business and in the things that you're doing to create frameworks, not just for you, but for them, right? When other people start going, well, it's this, because it's easy to remember, then you've built a framework that is useful and viable for them, right? So I'm going to pull up one of my frameworks real quick here. This is what I call the CSU framework. And this is something, again, I didn't reinvent the wheel, right? And I'm not trying to, so I don't want you to think that I'm out here saying, like I made this up. No, I combined it and I created the framework that I use for it, just so that it's easier for me to remember. But these are tried and true principles, right? A great offer, right, has a few things in it, right? And it has a core of that offer, right? And that's a pretty big deal, right? Having a core, having a support, and having urgency. We're going to talk about each one of these real quick here. So let me do this. I'm just going to pull out one of my little fancy dancy tools here. So this part right here, this core, and I think you can see that. I actually am not sure if you can see that. Well, that's okay. I think, I'm not sure if that's actually coming across on my screen. I have a cool little highlighter and pen that show up there. Okay, well, anyway, you just never know. If any of you guys that are watching can tell me whether you saw that highlighter show up, that would be cool. I'm not sure. It might just be over the top of my stream, not inside, which is fine. I guess that's okay. I'll have to figure out how to do that. Oh, you know what I can do? Totally do. I can totally do this. Let me go back and okay. I'm gonna stop this screen and I'm gonna share this other screen. There we go. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's showing up now. Okay. Here we go. And oops, remove. Let's go add. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Now you can see. Oh, you still can't see my cool little arrows and drawing. Oh, well, that's no fun. All right. I thought for sure you'd be able to see my drawing on the screen. I'll have to figure that one out later. That's when you get a little too fancy with your tech. Okay. But you can at least see my arrows. So that's good. At least we've got this. Okay. So here we are. Now you've had a chance to take a look at it. When you create an offer, you're going to have the core of your offer. And for some people, it could be an actual physical product. Okay, cool. It could also just be that you've built a course or that you want to build a course, or it could be that it's your main consulting service. It's the main thing, the main transformation you are promising to your people. So when you do that and you present that to people, you want something about your core offer to be a little crazy, right? And that might be what you want to give them, right? And then you want to have something that's a little normal. And that might be what they're asking for. So it might be a combination of things, right? It's like, I'm asking for this, but I don't know the solution. So what you're giving me is a little bit of what I think is the solution, but a little bit of what you know is the solution because you're the expert. So I call it a little crazy and a little normal. Something a little crazy, something a little normal. That makes for a good core, good target for the offer. Then you look at support, and support is cool. You should have a few things in your support. You should have something that is a vehicle for your support, right? And it says that it's a product that supports your false beliefs about the vehicle of your core product, right? And that's pretty cool, right? So it's like, I have a course that I sell that has something a little crazy or something a little normal. That's my core. And then you have something that supports the false beliefs about the vehicle. Well, the vehicle might be, it's an online course, and other people are like, well, I've already tried online courses, but I didn't use it. So maybe you have a little supporting cast product that goes into this offer that says, yeah, but we have a concierge, or we have a client success manager that walks you through and holds you accountable for going through that course. And your other courses haven't had that before. And so that's something that supports the vehicle, right, of the offer. Now, let's keep that going. What if it is a course? Then the next one is internal beliefs, right? It's a product that supports the false internal beliefs about what your clients feel their ability is to use your core product. Right? Well, I'm not a very good learner online. That's okay, because I'm going to offer something, a product that sets that apart. It says, you know what? If you feel like you're not capable, right? Because internal beliefs are about capability. So if you're not capable, or you feel you're not capable to do an online course, not only will you get a client success manager to walk you through it, but I'm also going to have live group sessions to make sure that you feel capable, right? And so maybe it's like a group something or other that helps them along with it. Now, let's take that a little bit further. Now, the next one is E. That stands for external false beliefs. And these are the external false beliefs they have about your core product. So whether it's your product is, let's say it's that course again, and let's say that they have some external beliefs. Well, it's too expensive, right? External beliefs are anything that they believe is outside of their control, right? It's too expensive. My spouse won't let me, stuff like that, right? And those are external. I believe that externally about this, right? So you say, well, for those people, I'm going to give you something that makes it totally worth it. Right. So if we're addressing the money thing, we go, well, you know what? It's this cost. And I know that's the same cost, but you're getting all these other things. And I'm going to throw this into just to make it a little sweeter. Right. Because it is the price that it is. But I'm going to give it to you with this extra thing that makes the price seem kind of ridiculous. Right. And then lastly, the CSU, right? I kind of like CSU because it's like the University of Offers, right? CSU. And the last one is urgency. And that's what kind of urgency are you going to create for them to get the thing. That's why Black Friday and Cyber Monday are such great times of the year for businesses to sell their offers, right? Because there's built-in urgency that exists in the overall whole, right? Built-in urgency in the whole mix of what you're selling. And so you put out an offer for Black Friday, you put out an offer for Cyber Monday, and you go, well, it ends Black Friday or it ends Cyber Monday, and that's it. It goes away. And so that urgency is built in, and the holiday festivities are the excuse to be able to present that urgency, right? And it's pretty easy to create Black Friday and Cyber Monday offers. In fact, I believe that most businesses should do it to some extent, and for different reasons, right? Different systematic, strategic reasons. But that urgency is kind of built in with those holidays. So you've got to look and see what other types of urgency you can build into your offer. Now, this might be your regular ongoing offer, and you might need to figure out what the urgency is built into that. I only offer this 4 times a year, right? So you have to enroll now. Or you have to wait until the next enrollment period, or I only give, or I give extra things. If you enroll now, I'll give you an extra thing because you enrolled now, right? So there's some urgency, but you have to do it before the end of the weekend, right? And so you can throw little bits of candy, so to speak, to make the urgency work. I highly recommend that you don't do fake urgency. Right? Which is kind of funny. I mean, I say that and I say it with a grain of salt because Cyber Monday is fake urgency. Black Friday is fake urgency, right? They just said, okay, these are the special deals we're offering on this day, right? And it's just a made up excuse for offering something at a different price. But what I mean by fake is like, don't lie. We don't want to lie about our stuff, right? So don't do that. Be honest, okay? But you've got to make up some urgency, and part of that urgency is because people just don't act without having a deadline. And I mean, we're human, and most people, and I say most, right? If you're one of those people that isn't, then feel free to comment and say you're wrong, Michael. Everybody takes action without a deadline. But I mean, I went to college too, and I watched everybody do their papers on the night before. And yes, there was 1 or 2 people that did it like right when it was assigned. They were the overachievers, right? But even they waited at times, depending on the subject that they were trying to do. So you have to think about this and realize that human nature says that deadlines make things happen. And so it's okay. We can build them into our offers. So that's CSU, and really cool. And you can really make some cool offers from it. I mean, I've made some incredible offers with people and helped people come up with their offers. Um, we've put together offers in so many different industries in so many different ways. And I'll tell you what, offers always work over just an actual product, whether you're selling software, whether you're selling consulting, whether you're selling some type of coaching or education, doesn't really matter. And even if you're selling e-commerce or some type of commodity, you can still put it together in an offer and it will do better than if you just sell it by itself. And if we're in a part of the world out here on the West, I live in Utah, and we have gas stations, and that you can go and get drinks at, right? So you can go and get a soda, or you can go to the special soda shop place and get a special type of soda that's flavored and all this kind of stuff, right? But there's evidence that even when you sell commodities, bread, milk, soda, that type of thing, that you can put them together in good offers and get people to respond. And that's, again, it's just human nature. So what I would say is that figuring out what your offer is a really good process. Figuring out like, hey, I'm in business and I've been in business for a while and we've been selling this. How could we really up our game? What could we do to really take things to the next level? And creating a better offer, or if you have an offer, analyzing your offer and just kind of going, okay, does this really meet all the needs that I have to meet to be transformative for my customer, for my client, right? And you'll see it in lots of little ways. You saw it. Domino's was one of the early ones that just created a great offer, right? They started with not just getting the pizza, but they would get it to you in 30 minutes or less. Do you remember that? It was a long time ago when they first were getting going, and they would guarantee that they'd deliver their pizza in 30 minutes or less, or you didn't pay. That's an offer, right? Like that's an interesting little offer, and it fills a lot of the different ideas that go with building a cool, full, complete offer. And so you want to think about that. And I think a lot of businesses really excel and really take things to the next level when they can really hone in their offer. And in the beginning, you have to start with an offer. This is the hardest part. I think if you're earlier on in the journey, like let's split it, right? You're already in business, or you're just getting going and you're trying to vet your offer out. When you're trying to get that early stage and you're vetting your offer, oftentimes you have to adjust things a little quicker. You have to be a little more nimble. Once you're in the back end stages where you've already got something that's selling, maybe you're worried about your product turning into a commodity and you're like, how can I differentiate? Well, you can differentiate by creating an offer instead of selling a product. And this is super important. In fact, this has either saved companies or made them go out of business. Right? You can look back at things like Blockbuster and Netflix, and Blockbuster was tied to their product, but they couldn't figure out how to offer it different. Netflix came in and was like, hey, that product works, but let's offer it differently. And then they kept innovating. And now you have Netflix streaming, which is because they continued to innovate in how they delivered their offer, what they actually said they were going to give you. And it works in a lot of different ways. So I think that's super important. Now, I want to touch on one more thing today before I sign out and head out for the remainder of my days. And that is talking about the different offers that you should have, because you should have more than one offer. Right? And different, what do they say? Different strokes for different folks, right? Inside. So each offer has its own offer sort of anatomy, right? And structure. But then as an overall whole, you should have multiple offers in your business for different scenarios. So let's talk about that. I'm going to bring up another one of my frameworks here, and let's do this. Okay, here we go. So we've got that down. This is, I call it the MC wheel. We're not going to get into it right now, but you have these little spokes to the wheel, right? And inside the spokes over here, you have the RC, which is your red carpet offer. And then you have CO, which is your core offer. And then you have FE, which is a front end offer. And then over here, you have a lead magnet offer. And you notice it's in a wheel and a spoke, right? Because the wheel needs all the spokes to turn and to work properly as a wheel. At the center of the wheel, we have recurring revenue. And this is super important because at the center of the wheel, I would almost say this is a bit of a holy grail type of a thing. You're always trying to find some way to create recurring revenue. And if you don't have this on your mind, if you're, again, we split it up, right? If you're in the early part of your journey of your business building and you haven't actually thought about how to implement recurring revenue within what it is that you're doing, then you are absolutely 100% missing out, right? You're going to suffer long term, right? If you're always going from product to product or from sale to sale and you don't have any recurring revenue coming in, then you're hating life, right? And even things that you would think don't have recurring revenue or couldn't have recurring revenue have now changed and flipped the script. So you could look at something like Amazon, and this is totally normal now to have an Amazon Prime membership. That's a totally normal thing. But if you can think back a little bit and remember, there was a time when it was like, why would I pay for a membership for Amazon? Like, why would I do that? And now it's a part of most people's world, right? Like, okay, not everybody, but it's something that most of the time is very well received. Nobody looks at it and says, well, I wouldn't have a Amazon Prime membership. That's just weird. Nobody says that. There's nothing weird about it anymore, right? But they had to innovate a way to actually have some type of recurring revenue that they could build over time because it's predictable and it's sustainable, right? So any one of these could have a recurring element to it. Okay, maybe not the lead magnet, although, as soon as you start receiving money for it, I classify it into the front end offer, right? But having these 4 potential offers in your business, you want to have something that's a lead magnet, which I usually classify as free. And that's to gain prospects. You want to have something that's front end. That's usually a low price or low ticket item according to your business and your marketplace that you're in, your niche. Low price could mean all sorts of things, right? It could mean $1, or it could mean $4.99, $499, or it could mean $9.99 if you're selling really expensive things, right? So it depends on your market and your niche. But as soon as you ask for some money on the front end of it, now all of these, ironically, are lead magnets. So we could get into semantics. And so I'm just throwing that out there, right? Yes, all of them could be lead magnets. But the difference is this lead magnet here is really intended to be a free system, right? Whereas the front end is where we're starting to accept money. And then we go to your core offer. You should have a core offer. And if you're in the early stages, again, I'll just kind of preface that. If you're in the earlier stages, you better nail down your core offer. Right? You got to get your core offer. Yes, these are important, but people will, the bro marketers out there will distract you with, you need this front end offer, you need the lead magnet, or you need these things. But if you don't have a core offer that you've vetted, then you're probably hating life. If you are in that space, go into systemsforexperts.com. That's our community. It's a free community. I have a whole course on there about vetting your offer. It's called MVC, minimum viable choreography. And its intention is to vet out your core offer, be able to go in and get to it right away. See if you can test it out and get it working before you go and build 20 other things that you don't need until you vetted your offer and you have proof of concept, right? So anyway, it's free. Go check it out at systemsforexperts.com, and you can get into the community for free. And that course is in there. It's called MVC. So that's your core offer. You should definitely vet out your core offer. I think a lot of times we, as experts and entrepreneurs, we oftentimes don't spend enough time on the core offer. I know I'm guilty of that so many times on my journey, not vetting the core offer as much as maybe I should have, right? So it's likely that there's many of you that can raise your hand and say, yep, I've done that too. And then of course you've got a red carpet offer. And that is when you put on the white gloves, you lay everything out, and you just give them everything. And it better be at a good price point, right? The high ticket price point, whatever high ticket is for you, right? And that is, they get everything. They get the whole 9 yards, right? In some industries, high ticket is, some niches and industries, high ticket is like 8 to 10,000. In some industries, high ticket is 50 to 500,000, right? So it just depends on your industry, what your niche is all about and what you're doing, right? So high ticket could mean a lot of different things for a lot of different niches and expertises and marketplaces. So just kind of keep that in mind. But the moral of the story is that we have to have a lot of different, well, we want to have a good solid set of offers in our business. Now, might you have multiple lead magnets? Yes. Might you have multiple front ends? Yes. Will you likely have multiple core offers? Not till later, right? Like, you got to get your business running, and you could probably run off the first 4 or 5 years just having one solid core offer. And it's not till later on that you start to look at multiple core offers, because as soon as you start to get into multiple core offers, part of the reason for that is to go after different, to capture different segments of your market, right? And if you haven't captured the first segment of your market, then it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to do multiple core offers. And then of course, red carpet is like super niche for the people that are willing to spend the money, and I would call them whales, right? They're willing to pull out their card and go, yep, do it for me, right? Or yes, I will take your expertise because I'm absolutely willing to pay for it, and let's just move right along. Right. And I believe you should all have a red carpet service. And I don't care what business it is. I don't care whether you're a brick and mortar store. I don't care if you're e-commerce. I don't care if you're a consultant or a coach or you're doing courses. I don't care what it is that you do. I believe everybody should have a core offer, because if you don't have a red carpet offer, because if you don't have a red carpet offer, then what happens when that whale comes along and they're willing to spend the money and you don't have it? You're going to make it up right on the last second. It's not going to come across well. And how are you going to sell that high ticket price point to that person that doesn't care and the money doesn't matter, right? If you remember the old Jurassic Park, the owner of the original Jurassic Park in the movie, the owner of that park, he was like, spared no expense, spared no expense. Spared no expense, right? He was some billionaire that was creating Jurassic Park, right? And so as he was trying to sell it to other people, he's like, oh no, we spared no expense. We spared no expense, right? And those people exist out there in the world. Those people, for what it is that you do, they exist, and you need to be ready for them. And they're going to come to you and they go, why are you talking to me about money? I just need you to solve my problem. That's it. Stop talking to me about money, because if I cared about that, they would go somewhere else, right? But you need to have that in your mix. And then your core offer can be, bunch of the high end things pulled out of that, but still offering maybe the transformational service, but not at such a high touch, white glove type of interaction. Anyway, so all of that is important, because as we dig into the remainder of, let me get this back up again. Share screen here. Okay, so as we dig back into this, right, and we're looking at what the fulfillment choreography systems are going to be, I'm going to have to talk a little bit about which offer we're talking about. So which offer is it? So we're talking about fulfillment. So you're going to hear me start to talk a little bit more about like, okay, let's talk about fulfillment of your front end offer, right? And I had started talking about it there. I figured I better dig into it a little deeper. But if I'm going to talk about fulfillment, the system that is being built depends upon whether it's a front-end offer, a red carpet offer, a lead magnet offer, a red carpet offer, and the fulfillment and the system that you're going to build on the inside of it is going to really be dependent. So anyway, I figured this was a good place to really step back, talk about offers, talk about the offers you should have in your business, and talk about how to create an offer, right? So there's some fun things in there that I think are important for the overall whole. It's hard to talk about a fulfillment piece of choreography without actually specifying and going, okay, we're going to talk about fulfillment on this particular thing, right? And fulfillment can get really complex. And for those of you that are experts and masters of your craft, this is really where you guys are going to where you're going to really jam out. You're like, oh, this is the fulfillment. This is the part this is why I got in. I got in to do the fulfillment, right? And so you're going to be very particular about how it's delivered in the systems that you create. And at the same time, sometimes it's important to have someone like me come back in and go, you may understand that, but ain't nobody else understand that, right? And that happens a lot. I see people build fulfillment systems that are just like kind of ridiculous. I once was working with this one client, and they were just bound and determined to get their fulfillment perfect before they built any of their other systems. And I was like, okay, first of all, you don't know if anybody's going to buy this thing. So they're spending years. I mean, before they got to me, they had spent years trying to build this fulfillment system out, right? That was their product, their one thing. And while I admired that, and I admired their attention to that detail, they never actually spent any time in the attraction system or building any attraction systems or conversion systems to see if anybody wanted the thing that they had spent years building. They wanted it, and that's why they built it. And for that, I admire their courage and doubt their judgment, right? So my father-in-law says to me about my golf game all the time. But you have to understand that there has to be kind of a balance of it, right? So we do want to build those fulfillment systems for sure. And we want them to be as good as possible. But if nobody's buying, and if you don't have a good offer, if you didn't have a good attraction system, and nobody's getting in the door for you to actually fulfill to, then you may have overbuilt on the back end of the fulfillment system. And so we kind of have to start to balance and juggle a little bit between creating the perfect fulfillment system and otherwise. And a great way, and I'll kind of leave you with this today, a great way to do that is by doing beta programs, right? Where you can kind of get the feedback of the people that are coming in. So you prove that you can sell it. You prove that you can attract the people that want this thing. And then you have a beta, you're fully transparent, and you say, this is a beta program, and I'm going to be asking for your feedback. And that's a great way to do it. A lot of businesses have started based off of beta programs. In fact, if you're going to start a new core offer, right, if we're talking in the back end system or the back end companies that have already been around and proven their offer, if they're starting a new offer, oftentimes a great way to start is through a beta program. So you can test it and see if anybody's going to sign up. And then when they do sign up, then you can actually get in and start asking them, hey, do you like this? What would you do different? What do you need? What have I missed? What have I not fulfilled on? What have I fulfilled on, right? Those type of things. And so beta programs are great ways to start new offers. And again, that works on the front end too. It's like your first offer, you do a beta program, right? And you go, hey, come in, join us at the beta program. This is the least expensive it's ever going to be. There are some exceptions to that. I mean, if you're Taylor Swift and you're like, hey, I'm going to do a beta program, she can charge full high ticket price for it because she's got the influence already. If you're brand new to the industry or to the place and niche that you're going to, then it's a little harder for you to do that, right? So you don't quite have the influence to say, I'm going to charge a high ticket premium for the beta, but it is possible. I've seen it done in some instances, but in other instances, when you're starting from scratch or you're bootstrapping on the other side, you can't quite do that. You have to beta test it and maybe go at a cheaper price than what your regular price is going to be. But people will get in and you go, okay, in exchange for getting in on the beta and the cheaper price, you have to give us some feedback and some testimonials and some whatever along the way, right? Case studies, that type of thing. So anyway, rock and roll. This is always a fun topic. I could talk about this for hours, as you can see. Excited for you guys to hear about it. Love to hear your questions. If you have any questions, put them in the comments of wherever you're watching this. If you'd like to be in on these lives on a regular basis and be able to have access to them regularly, then join systemsforexperts.com. It's free. There's some cool free courses in there for you, some free resources that you can have. Plus, you always get notified when I go live and when we do these training sessions as we go. So anyway, hope you all are doing well, enjoying your holiday season, and we'll see you next time on Backstage Choreo Live. Until then, keep on choreographing your business. Take care.